Stream has started.
Okay, welcome to everyone. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes for people to trickle in. So we will start at around 3:32. So good afternoon to everyone. My name is Rohit Narayanan. I am one of the high school robotics captains, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome everyone to the second annual Robotics Sharing Assembly. I think this is one of the most special days in our calendar. It's really a chance to recognize all of the excellent works that is done from grade 4 all the way up to grade 12 and possibly even more in coming years. Circumstances have forced our assembly to be virtual this year, but I think we have provided a fair number of opportunities to see all the excellent work that has been done in robotics and innovation over the past year. I know the last thing everyone wants to do is to sit and hear me talk for an hour. So we will have lots of demonstrations, and we also have a very special guest speaker, I believe, who will be joining us. So one important thing to know is that they say many things about the robotics department. Our excellent skills of time management are rarely among them. So I cannot exactly say how long this assembly will last, but we will get everyone out of here by 4:30. So I wanted to start off by recognizing some of the key achievements of the robotics program over the past year. We have had the largest number of students participating in robotics programs in the history of SAS, and we've seen specific growths in two specific demographics. One of them is middle schoolers, where we have a record of 3 middle school programs this year. And the other important source of growth was the high school extracurricular involvement in robotics, which has also, due to the efforts of some of the other senior captains who you may hear from, has also grown to new heights of participation, and we're very excited to welcome all of these new people into our robotics competitions. Now, in addition, we've also seen some of the most technically advanced robots in SAS's history, and we hope to get a chance to share a number of those with you over the next hour or so. Um, and this is in large part due to the advancements in technology and equipment that we've had, and that is something that we really appreciate all of the people who have contributed towards that, and we'll go into that further. In addition, we had a very exciting event this year where one of our middle school VEX IQ teams qualified to advance to the World Championship. Now, sadly, all robotics world championships were canceled this year, but we're looking forward to building on that track record of success. It's also important to recognize our engagement with the broader community. We had 4 non-SAS teams started and mentored by our students, including 2 teams at our local government school, which is Woodlands Ring Secondary School, and a high secondary school FRC team at the National Public School. Now, in addition, we also had our first virtual robotics competition, which was hosted last week in the elementary school, which Mr. Gatch will go into more detail of. And finally, we've also had significant refinement of our high school after-school curriculum, which has allowed our growing population of students to really experience absolute fundamentals of technological excellence, which will prepare them for the robotic journeys to come. So we'd now like to take you through some of the programs that SAS Robotics offers. And we're going to start with the elementary school, which has been one of our most successful programs, also one of our largest programs. So the competition that in the elementary school and some students in the middle school participate in is the first LEGO League. Now, the teams have won a total of 10 awards over the past 4 years at our local tournament. Sadly, that tournament was not able to happen this year in its full magnitude, but we did hold a virtual tournament for the students. And I'd invite Mr. Dan Gatch, the mentor for the students, to say a few words on FLL and what it means to the students. And Ms. White, in her characteristic wisdom, has reminded me that I have forgotten to record. While YouTube does carry this, I haven't started recording now. But I'd invite Mr. Gash to say a few words about FLL and the structure of that competition.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, I've been doing this for 5 years now, and it is amazing how much the program has grown and the success it has seen over the last couple of years. We were certainly very sad not to be able to continue with the with the actual competition this year. But one of the things I really liked about FLL and actually going back to our MC Rohit, I really appreciate. We had a conversation once because he's mentored our kids for the last 2 years now and 3 years now and has done an incredible job. But we were talking about FLL as a competition. And I think he put it really well. He said a lot of robotics competitions build engineers. But the cool thing, and the thing I really like about FLL is while there is certainly a robotics component to it, that's 1/3 of the competition. And then 1/3 is presentation, where they have to, there's a theme every year. This year was urban planning. Last year was space travel. And they have to do a research project and they have to talk to experts in the field and learn and then put together a 5-minute presentation in front of judges. Then there's also a core values piece, just to not unlike our own core values at school and about being a gracious professional and teamwork. And you can see some of the awards we've taken over the years in that. And it's one of the things I really like about the competition. And it was the reason we were able to actually hold our little virtual competition this year, because we basically had to say, all right, we've done robotics for months, but unfortunately there's really no way, since all our robots are at school and campus is closed, to do a robotics thing. So let's keep moving as teams, organize, practice. We'll listen to your practice sessions. And then last week, they actually went ahead and gave virtual presentations of their problems that they identified within urban planning and the innovative solutions that they came up with. And we actually have a team that's going to talk a little bit about their solution in a little bit here. But yeah, like I said, it has been an amazing experience working with FLL, and like I said, it's been even more exciting to see some of those FLL kids who went from fifth grade to sixth, and now they're in seventh and eighth and heading off to Worlds at Bex, and that's the heart of what we want to do for competitive robotics is build this cohort of kids who are moving through our divisions and through our competitive teams and just continuing to build on those skills. So I hope that FLL can continue to be the base that we lay down at the elementary school so that middle school and high school can have these excited and kids that are just well versed in engineering and robotics.
So thank you, Mr. Gatch. So we always, when we do these tournaments, we do these recognitions, etc., we want to recognize that it goes past the awards. The students are really the most incredible part of our program. And we had a vast array of elementary school and middle school students on our teams this year. So we're showing their names now. We'd like to give a special thank you to Mr. Gatch and the other mentors, Ms. Carpenter, Mr. Haydu, Ms. Salma, and perhaps myself. So we want to move on and show you a little bit of the work that they have been doing. So I don't know how well this video would load for each of you, but here's a little example of some of the programming and building that the FLL teams have done. And of course, there are many other examples. We've had an incredible renaissance in programming techniques with the FLL teams this year, especially in advanced sensor techniques. But one aspect of the FLL competition, which Mr. Gatch alluded to, that's a very important part, is they each have to create an innovative solution on a topic of their choice. So the one specific team that we're going to recognize created an innovative solution on a topic of urban development, and I'll let them explain it. But the challenge that was posed to each of these teams was to create some sort of robotics innovative solution that would resolve some problem related to urban development and some of the challenges we're going to face in the 21st century. So I'd like to turn it over to that team. I will stop sharing briefly.
Can I say a quick word, Rohit, while they're setting up, maybe? So next Daedalus, feel free to start getting your presentation up. But I told them I would kind of lead them into this. And I just wanted to point out that I asked them to pull out a bunch of their research just for time consideration, but just know the amount of time that goes in. Every team, we took a program-wide field trip to the URA, the Urban, I'm going to forget the name, Redevelopment Authority, or sorry, whatever the gallery is in downtown. And the kids went and saw how Singapore was constructed over the years. We brought in an expert who was one of the lead architects for the Changi Jewel to talk about it. We brought in another woman who was, has her master's in urban development. It just, like I said, they did so much work to get up to this point, and now they're going to lead you into what they actually came up with. So all the teams did this incredible amount of research, and we're so privileged to hear from so many incredible kind of experts in the field. And so, like I said, they're going to talk about what the problem they identified and what they came up with. So without further ado, whenever you're ready, next day, let's take it away.
Hi, we are the NXT Daedalus. One of the teams participating in the first LEGO League robotics competition.
Year's topic was about urban development. So we had to find a problem in urban development, preferably in Singapore.
After doing a lot of research, we found a problem about kids not exercising enough.
After all these hours of research and development, we present to you
Dataless Active.
I'm Yanji.
I'm Andre.
I'm Ishan.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Raphael.
So with this problem, we decided to create a solution to encourage kids to be more active. This is how it works.
We figured what kids love most about video games is competition, but we were not sure how to implement this idea. Well, we talked to a very helpful psychologist named Mrs. Aditi Broker. Mrs. Broker focused us on the simple but important idea that leaderboards create competition. So we decided to implement a leaderboard so kids can compete to be at the top.
To start, you will need to tap a button and enter your account credentials. Then it will begin a timer. You have to run to stop the button. In the end, you have to press the button to finish the run.
Your score, which is basically the speed you are running at, saves on the Dataless Active website. If you're one of the fastest, congrats, you made it to the leaderboard.
Mrs. Aditi Broker also told us that the leaderboard will make children want to try again if they don't get a good score, because the human mind likes to win, which means that they want to get on the leaderboard.
We would like to now show you the website.
On our website, we use a script to load all the run information into this top 10 leaderboard. This is where children can see the best scores in Singapore. They can clearly see many stats so they can get more information about the best scores, which means more incentive to try and get better scores.
You can even see the accounts of the people on the leaderboard.
Children can also create accounts and use their accounts for their runs. We can log in and see our scores so children can see how they can do better. For example, we can see how many runs we've done. There is even a ranking system so people can see their progress in a quick glance.
However, the most important part of the device is the device for running. We use the Makey to act as a keyboard, and we use buttons to act as a stopwatch. Combining the Makey and the buttons means that we can use JavaScript to check if the button is pressed. We use this to start and end the stopwatch. Once the person hits the stop button, it calculates the speed and sends it to the servers. Okay, let me demonstrate. So I don't have much space to run, so I might get a bad score. So this is our Makey. As you can see here, the buttons here connect to this. So if I press this button, it sends the left button press to the computer, and if I which will start the stopwatch. But if I press the other button, I can stop the stopwatch. So if I go there, do a run, and now if I so as you can see, it starts the stopwatch if I press this button, and then it stops the stopwatch if I press this button. Now I will demonstrate. So if I so I got a score of 9.2 kilometers per hour, and I can now save the score and see if I got onto the leaderboard. Let's see, my score was 9.6, right? Yeah. I don't really remember my score, but I probably did get on the leaderboard. Yeah, this is the leaderboard. So, yeah.
All right, in conclusion, cities may have many problems, but in FLL, we learned that with creativity, all problems can have a solution. With the Makey and the website, we aim to incentivize children to run more. And if you don't make it to the destination in time, you do it again. Thank you.
So thank you to that team for that excellent presentation. And I'm sure if we get some time at the end, they'd be happy to answer some questions for you. Let me get back to my presentation. So that would be our elementary school and middle school first Lego League program. And I realized that I forgot to say this at the beginning. Towards the end, for all of the students here, I thought it would be a very good use of time to get a couple people to express some gratitude to the program as a whole. So I'm giving you some advance warning if you want to start thinking about some people you want to express some gratitude to. So we're going to move on to our next robotics program, which is our VexIQ program. It's also our newest program in the SAS Robotics ladder. So we started last year with a group of 4 students, and this year our teams have ballooned to 17 students. And we also inaugurated the first VexIQ qualifying tournament in Singapore last year, and we hosted a scrimmage in the robotics room last year also. This year we were incredibly lucky to have one of our teams, which you can see at the bottom right there, win the Excellence Award at the Singapore Championship and advance to the World Championship in Louisville, Kentucky. Sadly, that was a fantasy World Championship this year, but we hope to continue to qualify in years to come. And these are some of the teams that participated in that competition. A special recognition to the mentors, Mr. Richards, myself, Shion, Teo, and Ryan, who helped shepherd these teams to their ultimate conclusion. And we also have a video of one of their final matches. So let's see how well this works. So I realized that that video might not have worked perfectly for everyone, but that is just a little example of some of the innovation that our VexIQ teams have been doing over the course of this year. And we're looking forward to launching that program to more middle schoolers next year. So a close elder sibling of the VexIQ program is the VexEDR program. And this is a program we've been doing in the high school for a number of years. And we were lucky enough also to have 2 middle school teams compete at the Singapore regional of the VexIQ program this year. This was also the first year ever we won an award at the Singapore regional of the VexEDR tournament. Our teams won the Judges Award for their incredible engineering notebooks, along with their performance on the field, which advanced one of our high school teams to become tournament finalist at the Singapore Regional. This is also a tournament we've had success in the past. 3 years ago, we were the tournament champion at the Taipei Regional, where we compete with a number of other IASA schools. So let's recognize some of the people who contributed to that competition. So we had a fair number of middle schoolers along with people in the robotics science class in the high school and the robotics club in the high school. And I know that there are some VEX officers here. So if you are here, feel free to unmute yourself and say hello, wave maybe. So those, and we'd like to give special recognition, of course, to the mentors, Mr. Millar, Ms. White, Mr. Harvey, and the middle school mentor from Null Space, Mr. Benjamin Chi. So we'd like to pause here for a few minutes to say thank you to some of the people who have supported us through these years. Now, it's no secret that robotics is expensive. We burn through a lot of money every year, which is generously funded a lot by the SAS Foundation. So we'd like to give a special thanks to the foundation. One specific initiative of the foundation over the past 2 years has been getting us a CNC machine. Using the CNC machine, we have been able to vastly increase our technical competence. So I'd like to give a short demonstration of what the CNC drilling machine in the high school can do. And if someone here would like to give a further description, I'm sure we'd be open to that also. So
Sam, since you shot this video, maybe you'd like to explain what's going on here to the people who aren't familiar with the CNC mill.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can hear me now. So basically what this machine lets us do is not only create our own custom aluminum pieces for our robots, but it actually increases not the capabilities that we can design. So it allows us to create parts that we never would have been able to make before and use them in our robot. And it also allows us to speed up the process. So before, what could have taken about a day's worth of work for someone to kind of like print out these designs, attach them to the aluminum, hand cut them, drill the holes themselves, it now can take around 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and you can pump out about 6 of them at a time. And so this machine really lets us kind of rapidly prototype. It lets us create final pieces for our robot, and it lets us we've made jigs, we've made like all kinds of different components for our robots, for creating pieces for our robots. Just a lot of the general kind of fabrication has been greatly impacted by this machine. And so just wanted to say a huge thank you to the people who have, you know, kind of helped like bring this to the school and helped with the kind of funding and everything for the program.
So thank you so much. And we'd also like to express some special thank yous to some members of the technology community. Among them, Miss Simone, who runs the high school makerspace and has been so invaluable to our programs, helping with the 3D printers and keeping the makerspace open long after she needs to. Then we also want to thank Mr. McMullen in the middle school for helping us with the middle school makerspace. Mr. Dibley, who runs robotics classes in the middle school and technology and design classes. Mr. Steigerwald in the high school, who helps with the makerspace and has provided a lot of support to the program over the past 4 or 5 years. We also would like to thank Ms. Kristen Tan in the high school, who's helped us with funding a number of times, and Ms. Ann Tan in central administration, who processes a lot of our orders. We are deeply grateful. Mr. Jason Cohn, who has spearheaded robotics creation and the development of an integrated curriculum, along with Ms. Amy Zubermehan and Ms. Susan Shaw from high school and elementary school administration respectively, who have made robotics a priority. We'd also like to thank some of our external sponsors, Mr. Samuel Chi, Mr. Andy Lee, and Ms. Crystal Zhang, all from VEX, who help us process our orders quickly and efficiently. And we'd like to thank Grant Schooling for technical needs for events such as this one. So we'll keep moving on our robotics programs. One of our programs in the high school, grades 9 through 12, is the MATE program. And this is a very unique robotics competition in that it takes place completely underwater. And there are very unique challenges that come with the underwater robotics competition, and one that our teams have consistently met. We have achieved enormous success in our regional competitions over the past 2-3 years, and we'd also like to recognize this year's team, especially in the club. A special thank you to Captain Buddy, who is also here. He's really made an incredible renaissance of this, the Vex and Mate programs over the past 2 years. Also a special thank you to Gary, who I don't think is here, but who has been an integral part of the robotics community for the past 4 years and has really helped spearhead our programs and improve us in our software excellence. So we now move on to the first robotics competition. This is the robotics competition in the high school, which creates the largest robots. So we've, the first robotics competition competes against almost 10,000 teams. We sometimes compete over, excuse me, sorry, over 10,000 teams, and we have really appreciated a much expanded teams over the past 2-3 years, and last year we were lucky enough to advance to the World Championship in Detroit, Michigan. The first robotic competition functions under a tight schedule. We only get 6 weeks of competition time between the game is released and by the time we go to competition. But we also have, especially this year, an expanded off season. So we recognize the team and also some additional mentors. Ms. Jennifer Norman has helped us with some aspects of our awards presentations and a lot of ideation. Mr. Nick Kwan has been a new addition to the robotics team, helped us influence our software excellence. And now I'm going to turn the assembly over to Ming, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the robots that we've built this year and some of the improvements we've made to the program.
Hi, I'm Ming. So we've done a lot during FRC this year, and sometimes we don't get a lot of time to stop and look at the work we do. Next slide. So over the course of the year, we've built a total of 5 different robots. And each of these robots are individually designed and are different in every way. So more importantly is that we took the risk to try something different each time and try the things we don't know and to learn from them. Next slide. So I'll go through each of the robots we built throughout the year. So on the first one, we built a custom drive base that really push our fabrication abilities to be more accurate than ever. We use our first CNC parts, as you can see. Earlier in the video, you saw how it cut out the pieces, and although it's incredibly complex, it's beautiful. And it's really something we tried differently. Next slide. As an introduction to FRC, our rookies were given a challenge to complete. Their robot was partially inspired by our previous robot from 2019, but their additional intake really impressed us all, and they were able to adapt and improvise it very quickly. While they had the guidance from a few experienced members and the robotics program, they really took the initiative to learn and succeed on their own. Next slide. Moving on, the Octocanum was really a stepping stone, something different we tried. After we found some older modules in the cabinets, we really put them into good use, and that created a drivetrain that strafes as well. In the process, it really helped build our understanding of pneumatics, pistons, and precision assembly. This was our first project that brought us all as a team together with club and class, and including newer members, which really laid the foundation for our team dynamic. Next slide. Up to the second semester, our competition bot was everything we worked towards. We created the most complex robot yet, and up to this point, I'm still amazed by all the mechanisms in it. We applied everything we learned from gear ratios, pneumatics, linear translations, much more. And on top of that, it really brought us closer than ever. We worked day and night on this, even stayed over in the lab one day. And really, our effort, although the competition did not go through, our efforts weren't for nothing. This kind of struggle really helped us build people more than just the robots, and I'm really appreciative of that. So on the second semester, we had new people to introduce robotics to. And with this batch of rookies mostly being freshmen, we saw it as our job to pass our newfound learning from this year and they took on the challenge of working from home in spite of the COVID-19 lockdown. Because we're all trapped at home, it's really impressive that they managed to get something working at this scale just at home without contact. After all of this work, I'm very proud of what we've achieved individually and collectively. And this is the legacy that we want to uphold both in robotics and the people we build.
So thank you, Ming. Now we're going to treat everyone to a very special guest. Mr. Dwight Hutchins is the Asia Pacific Managing Director at Accenture, which our robotics members had a chance to tour last year. It's one of the premier companies doing innovation in the 21st century. And he has a few words of advice for robotics students and especially all of you younger students who are going into the field of innovation in a time of exceptional crisis. So if he's here, I will welcome him to speak. Apologies, we may have a couple technical difficulties.
Well, it's user error. So does that invalidate me being a guest speaker?
Not at all. Please go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I was in the wrong in the wrong window using the multi-screen. So anyway, fantastic to be here. Fantastic to talk to you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. When Rohit said there was an opportunity to speak to you, but also gave me a little bit of a heads up of who I was speaking to, it reminded me of the days when I was sitting in your chair, which Meredith will laugh, as will David, because when we were sitting in your chair, and we were talking about computers and robots, it was a very different thing. And so I look back to see how big of a different thing was it when we were sitting in your chair. And so I've got a couple of props, and hopefully this will give you a sense of the future. But here's one. I don't know if you recognize it. You probably don't even use them anymore. But it is it's a hard disk drive, and it's a terabyte external storage drive. Now, you can buy one of these for $80, right? You can buy one at, Robinson's or just about anywhere for $80. When Meredith and David and Tom and I were in high school, a terabyte of storage cost $1 billion. And it fit into a gym. It required an entire gym to put this much storage onto a computer. $1 billion in a gym now fits in your hand and costs $80. When the internet came out, the World Wide Web, which actually was well after college for us in 1993, so about 25 years ago, to download a song would take an hour. To download a standard definition movie would take 1 day. To download a high definition movie would take 5 days. To download a 4K movie would take 100 days. So when you go, as we've been sitting in this COVID times, and you download a high definition movie on iTunes or Apple TV and you watch it immediately, it would literally take you 3 months to download that movie, 20 years ago. And so, things, they have changed. And I guess the last thing that I would give you as an example, so that's how much you could store. That's how fast information could travel. And then the last piece is the computer itself. And so I'm going to try to put this up on the screen. Forgive me if I fail. If I share my screen, tell me if you can see this. Yes? No? Okay. Do you see an IBM computer? So again, this is the computer that your teachers used when we were in college. And what is a computer but a computer board with 275,000 transistors, which was huge, right? Because it used to be, each transistor was a vacuum tube. So if you backed up before transistors, the idea of that many vacuum tubes in a room was impossible. So the fact you could fit 275,000 on a computer that sat on your desk was amazing. So this is the IBM XT, or the 80286, 386, right before the Pentium. So 275,000 computers, which is the same as 275,000 vacuum tubes when the very first computer came out. Now, the iPhone 11 has 10 billion transistors on it. So to have the same computing power as your iPhone, you would need 40,000 of the computers on the left-hand side. 40,000. That's what you have on your phone. And so you've got the power of 40,000 computers in your hand that has a download speed that is, I did the calculation, 10,000 times faster than it was 20 years ago, with the storage capacity that is more than a basketball gym worth of storage capacity was when your teachers were in school, sitting where you're sitting. And so what does that mean for the future? So there's a law called Moore's Law that says that this will continue. And so when you're sitting here where I'm sitting, talking to high school and junior high students and elementary school students, you will be doing the same thing, except for it will just be way beyond. And where that will come from is from the people on this screen inventing it, creating it, and more importantly, taking that technology and making the world a better place, because it is with that technology that you'll be able to track climate change and do something about it. It is with that technology that you will be able to use robotics to explore the oceans as well as to explore space. One other example is that your iPhone has more computing power than the entire NASA that put a man on the moon. And in fact, your calculator has more computing power than the actual spacecraft that landed on the moon. And so if you can use that amount of computing power to do amazing things like that, put a man on the moon, then the computer power that you have in your hands, along with the communications, along with the web, along with your ingenuity, can put a man on Mars, that can put a woman, on Mars. And in fact, I guess one more case, and then I will stop, is here, perfect example. If I can get my mouse to get over here. Did you see the new, can you see the new slide? Yes. So Margaret Hamilton had 350 people to design the software between on the Apollo mission that landed on the moon. The computer weighed 70 pounds. And again, it has less computing power than your calculator. So it was a 70-pound device that took her 350 people to program to land a person on the moon. And so, again, imagine if Margaret had your cell phone back then, what she could have done with it. And so imagine what you're going to do with the technologies that you have. And my imagination says you're going to solve climate change, right? You're going to solve hunger. You're going to solve, a lot of the diseases, because you will be able to drop the viruses into a computer that you have programmed. It will be able to do the analysis on the DNA. The kids in high school will tell you what that is, and tell you what will work and provide a computer-generated treatment. And so that, to me, is what the future holds. And the reason is it's a combination of the technology advancing and your creativity and hard work and listening to your teachers. With that, I'm going to stop. Hopefully that covered a couple of things that were helpful. And if not, then, ask for a refund. Rohit, are we good? Any questions, thoughts, reactions? What else should I have done? What I shouldn't have said?
That was excellent. I'm sure that the students appreciate it. And we also want to recognize that some students are watching on our YouTube link, and I'm sure they will appreciate it also. So as predicted, we are running a couple minutes late. So I am going
$1 billion in my hand. $1 billion. Anyway, congratulations, guys, on a great school year. Think about it. We wouldn't have been able to do this but for the computer technology and the internet technology. You guys would have just been out of school all this time as opposed to distance learning. So with that, I'll let you go.
Thank you so much. So we're going to recognize a couple, much more than a couple, of graduating students. And we always have some people who turn up to the assembly and say, I'm leaving also. So if that happens, throw it in the chat. I'd be happy to say your name also. We want to recognize everyone who's leaving our robotics program. This is our largest graduating class ever. And more importantly, we usually have a special token. It's called a golden hammer in robotics. We were not able to get that to everyone this year on time. We will continue to endeavor to get that to you. So we want to thank Rohit Narayanan, Miguel Villanueva, Ushmil Sarkar, Jason Foe, Joanne Chin, Marcus Masciarelli, Shion Enomoto, Sam Gluthcotter, Gary Kim, Hamza Sheikh, Dhruv Nambiar, Olivia Miller, Satya Vik, Kabir Madan, Yoon Kang, Deborah Ghosh, Matt Song, Camden Masuoka, and Maya Shah McDaniel. So one last demonstration for all of you. Some communities might go home for virtual school and stay home, watch Netflix. Robotics students go home and some of them start building ventilators. So I'd like to bring back Ming to talk to you a little bit about some of the independent projects he's been doing while at home on quarantine.
Yeah, so over the past few months, I've been able to help develop a ventilator with the open source community. So it all started with a Israeli team and backed by the Israeli Air Force. They have engineers, doctors, and other professionals working on this accessible solution. Next slide. So the Amovent project was made to be a low cost and easy to manufacture solution for countries in shortage of ventilators. After it went public, I joined in right away, along with countless others from various countries. So in that image, you get to see the professionally made ventilators from the Israeli team. Next slide. So on my first look at the ventilator, I saw that a lot of improvements could be made. I then took it straight back to the foundation and redesigned it from there on. And in my rework, there are a lot more integrated electronics, less custom parts, and can be manufactured with limited machinery. The one they had needed to be manufactured with a sheet metal press, which can't really be accessed in a lot of countries. So this way, it's much more accessible to countries in poverty. So after doing so, I went back and communicated with the engineers in Israel and provided the feedback to them. So Miss Simone and the Makerspace helped me laser cut all of these pieces and were shipped to me the day before lockdown, which was quite a rush. So collaborating with Jefferson Zhang from robotics, he managed to complete the majority of the electronics during the lockdown itself. Although not complete, there was a whole lot of proof of concept, and there's a lot of potential for this ventilator to save lives. Next slide. So once I released this design to the community, people from India, Nigeria, Iraq, and many other countries started contacting me through WhatsApp for help. And this design really opened up a lot more doors to countries in poverty. And from there, my part was really to assist those trying to build this ventilator rather than developing it on my own. So I have the ventilator right here. So what I did is that during this lockdown, I couldn't really get a lot of parts. So all of these pieces are 3D printed from my printer straight from home. Here's a car window motors. And these electronics are really salvaged from the robotics room when stuff were getting thrown away. And it really came to use after sitting in my cupboard for months. Yeah. That's about it. And I'm pretty sure Caden has a project to show as well.
Yes, if Caden has a project, we'd love to see it. Can't hear you.
I can't really get it right now, but over the course of the quarantine, I made a home storage server to store all my files. And then recently, just today, I started with Mr. Harvey printing these masks that you can clip on. You can clip what was it, the old projector films. You punch holes in them and you can clip them on the front and make a face shield for those who can't wear masks. Yeah, you can see Mr. Harvey holding up the films. Yeah, we're hoping to
So-
have enough to supply the whole school when we come back, presumably.
Okay, great. So we hope that gives you a good taste of some of the projects we've been working on at home. I realize this has been a long assembly. I would like to throw it to either some of the senior captains or some of the adults on the call. If you'd like to say a few words, express gratitude, etc., and then we will let everyone go. Ms. White, go ahead.
Thanks, Rohit. First of all, I want to thank all of the parents and students. You guys, you students, you just inspire me so much, from the young students I see in the audience all the way up to our graduating seniors. You just never fail to inspire me with your creativity and your work ethic and your compassion for others, as was just proven by what me and Caden just said. I also would like to thank the admin, the people who are here from our admin staff. You guys, we couldn't do this without your blessing and help and support, and we really appreciate that as well. We only have one technician here, James, I see, but James's work, he's so valuable. Sam, when he talked about the CNC mill, it was a pleasure watching you guys work on setting that up. You and Sam, James, you and Sam and Ryan working to get that thing and then refining it and building that dust collector. It was just a real thrill and a real positive experience, a learning experience for all of you, really, all of us. And then, of course, what we can't not mention the gifts that we received from the foundation. The mill wouldn't exist, our program wouldn't exist in its current incarnation. As Rohit said, it is very expensive, and we really appreciate the help and support that we've gotten from our families and from the foundation. And finally, Rohit, our incredible master of ceremonies, you were very humble, as you always are, when you said at FRC regionals, we were lucky enough to win and advance to world competition. It wasn't luck, it was collectively everybody's hard work. But Rohit, it was your leadership, your organizational skill, your work that you did in creating our FRC program and embellishing it to the degree that it is. And now we see it culminating in the poise that you're showing us in hosting the robotics celebration. So Rohit, you're the man. Thank you.
Can I jump in on that real quick, Rohit? And not to just, effuse the praise, but I think it just has to be said. I mean, there's many people I could thank, but Rohit walked into our program 3 years ago, and we had slowly started to build it up a little bit, still trying to figure out what it even meant. And Rohit put the FLO program on the map and kind of put it into light speed as far as being able to produce competitive teams and even understand what competition looks like. And I know he's doing the same now in middle school. And it just can't be said enough that literally from elementary to high school, this Rohit has put it on his shoulders to put together strong divisions of competitive robotics, and they would not be where they are today without the efforts he put in. And I really hope that some people, I know I've had some students already come back to me, and he's inspired them. And I hope more high schoolers and middle schoolers are interested and willing to come back. And we are always looking for mentors for our younger guys to help them and talk to them and listen to their presentations and talk to them about their coding and building. And because like I said, we would love to have 100 Rohits at this school, but even 2 or 3, like I said, juniors, sophomores who are out there and listening, man, we would love to have that kind of support and mentorship. And like I said, our programs wouldn't be where they are today without the efforts of Rohit. So thank you so much, sir, for everything you've done over the years.
So thank you, Mr. Gatch, Ms. White. And I think I'll end it on a couple words there. Robotics might not be everyone's family, but I do think that it is a very important community. and it relies on people coming back and sharing their knowledge. That includes alumni who go to college and come back. That includes alumni in national service who help us out. That includes high schoolers helping out our middle school programs, as so many high schoolers did this year. That includes cross-divisional collaboration, and that's a really important part of how our robotics program runs. It is bittersweet, I know, for many of us seniors and departing students, but we are very much looking forward to seeing where the students in 4th grade, in 5th grade, and 6th grade are going to take the robotics program when we come back in 4, 5, 6 years. And we know that it will be beyond any of our perceptions. So I'd like to thank Mr. Hutchins for giving our keynote speech. I'd like to thank all of the administrators and teachers who showed up, all of the students and parents, and we will end it there. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.
Rohit, excuse me.
Yep.
I think Mr. Haas had his hand up.
Oh, please go ahead.
Thanks. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted, on behalf of the elementary school, to get in and congratulate everybody. I'm really proud of what I've been seeing here today across the whole school, from elementary all the way through high school. It's amazing what you guys are doing. And again, I'm just, and not only the students, but the leaders as well. The leadership that you're providing for these kids is amazing, and parents as well, that you're allowing your kids to participate and do these things. So thanks for the support from the parent side as well. I just want to say, when we talk about our desired student learning outcomes, you guys are demonstrating all of them in terms of how you communicate, in terms of how you collaborate, your creativity, your critical thinking. All of those things are playing into exactly what's going on here. And I just want to say thanks to Jason for his leadership, Jason Cohn, and to Rohit for your leadership here today, and Meredith, you and David, and all the things that you guys are doing. But especially, I also want to thank Dan Gatch and Jill Carpenter and Gabe Haydu and Susan Shaw, who's kind of our administrative leadership on our side. We're really, we're kind of limited down at the elementary what we're doing, but we're really looking with this new building about how we can provide this opportunity for all of our elementary kids and how we can make that possible for all of them. So that's what we're really looking for when we talk about building a new school and a new vision for what we can create. So thank you guys for being leaders in this, and we're going to really look forward for how we can use our team down at the elementary school to help propel that and get many more kids excited about it. So again, thanks everybody, appreciate it.
You have to unmute, Rohit. There you go.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. We will shut down the live stream in a couple minutes, and I appreciate everyone coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. Bye.
Thank you, Rohit. Bye, everybody.